Hello, welcome to Simcha, a celebration of life. I'm Nikki Wallman. The small town of Polna is located southeast of Prague. The first two Jewish families arrived in Polna in 1517, and their numbers slowly increased to 541 by 1847. In 1930, the community numbered only 51, and by 1942, all remaining Jews were deported to Nazi death camps. In memory of the Jewish community of Polna, the Federation of Jewish Communities in the Czech Republic has restored the synagogue, which is now open as a museum depicting the heritage of this community.
The 16th century process of confining Jews into ghettos was an expression of a Christian Europe that was racked by religious wars over the Reformation and Counter-Reformation. Although the church had religious and economic motivations for the segregation, Jews gained a modicum of autonomy among their kinsmen. They practiced their trades and followed their culture and religion in a tight Jewish community milieu. Though many old ghettos disappeared as they succumbed to modern urban development, some are fairly well preserved. In Polna, there is a ghetto complex that has been relatively undisturbed since its inception in 1681. Formerly separated from the town by upper and lower gates around what is today Karlovo Square, formerly Jewish Square, there are 38 houses arranged in rows, including a former town hall with a rabbi's flat, a school and a mikveh. The complex is defined by two courts, joined by a narrow passage. The upper court is a large, unpaved open triangle, sloping gently downhill past a well, the hand pump of which still produces water, and past a solitary clump of trees to the 17th century synagogue. The original Baroque-style synagogue, dating back to 1684, is situated in the middle of the ghetto. After a series of fires, the synagogue was rebuilt in the new Gothic style between 1852 and 1863. It was during this reconstruction that the vault was brought down, the walls and ceilings were elevated by 1.5 meters, and a new woman's gallery with a staircase was built in. The new windows were provided with gables, and the interior was painted with decorative motifs of Gothic traceries in blue. The bima for the Torah reading was moved from the center of the synagogue and placed in front of the new tabernacle, and seats along the walls were replaced by 2 rows of benches. After standing abandoned for decades, the Jewish ghetto has been proclaimed a national heritage zone. In memory of the Jewish community of Polna, the Federation of Jewish Communities in the Czech Republic, together with the local authorities, have restored the synagogue, which now serves as a Jewish museum that focuses on the Hilsner case and employs its exhibits to combat intolerance, superstition, and anti-Semitism. The town of Polna is infamous in Czech and Jewish history, as it is the scene of the so-called Hilsner affair, a blood libel in 1899 that sparked a wave of anti-Semitic violence and is sometimes compared to the Dreyfus case in France. Leopold Hilsner, a 22-year-old Jewish shoemaker, was arrested for the murder of a local young woman by the name of Anečka Herzova. He was accused of carrying out the crime with the complicity of the Polna Jewish community in order to drain the girl's blood and use it to make Passover matzos. Hilsner was convicted of killing Herzova and sentenced to death, but Thomas G. Masaryk, who went on to help found Czechoslovakia, stepped in, speaking out strongly and eloquently against the superstitions and backwardness that underlay the accusation of ritual murder. The sentence was changed to life imprisonment following an imperial reprieve in 1901, although a number of requests to renew the trial were turned down. Shortly before the end of World War I, Hilsner was pardoned by Charles I. He spent the rest of his life in Prague and Vienna and died in 1928. And the real murderer of Anechka Hersova was never found. The trial of Leopold Hilsner was factually void, and the probative proceedings were completely inconclusive, and a number of testimonies included factual inconsistencies. Hilsner himself was of a timid nature and hardly capable of such a violent act. It was clear to many people at the time, as it is today, that this was mainly a political trial, greatly influenced by anti-Semitism, the nationalist press, and the tense political situation with regards to Czech-German relations. The cemetery on the northwest margin of the town was founded in the 16th century at the latest and contains gravestones of the Baroque and neoclassical types, the oldest one dating back to 1681 and the youngest one from 1940. A kehillah, Jewish community, lived in this complex for nearly 300 years, leaving behind not much more than the synagogue, a community building, and a wooded cemetery outside the town. Without Jews since World War II, the ghetto is now a proletarian neighborhood that still projects something of the ethnic atmosphere of its former inhabitants.
The first reference to a town hall in Jewish Prague dates back to 1541. As in the past, the Jewish town hall today still houses the center of the Jewish community, the Federation of Jewish Communities in the Czech Republic, and the seat of the chief rabbinate. Located on the first floor of the building is the High Synagogue, which serves as the daily prayer hall for the rabbinate and caters for circumcisions and weddings.
According to a report by the historian David Gans, the erection of the High Synagogue was completed by Mayor Mordechai Meisel in 1568. Originally with the entrance via the Jewish Town Hall, the synagogue was probably used for sessions of the Jewish Council of Elders and the Rabbinic Court.
The whole building here is the Jewish center of the Jewish community for the last 500 years or so. And this synagogue is about 400-something years old.
The whole area is lit by high windows and makes an unusually secular impression. The central space is spanned by a high Renaissance vault with corner lunettes and rich stucco decoration.
The synagogue is built, and the seats and the bima and all this is according to the old Ashkenaz, which is very close to the old Eretz Israel Palestinian old custom, that the bima is big and in the middle. The amud, the standard for the chazan, is there in the front, and the people are sitting like this, not like this like in a theater or in concert.
The High Synagogue has the best preserved interior of all the Renaissance synagogues in the Jewish town. In 1691, a new early Baroque arch was installed in the eastern wall, with a Torah crown and an inscribed cartouche in the pediment.
Behind me you see the Aron Kodesh, the Holy Ark. And this ark is built in the year 1691. A few years ago, one of the curators of the Jewish Museum came to the chief rabbi and told him, listen, I have many talitot, many prayer shawls from people who were killed, murdered in the Holocaust, and we have many of them. What am I going to do with them? But I have an idea. And she said, I will make a parochet from them. And then this idea is very moving. Whenever I daven there as a chazan, or I always, because I think about the people who were behind it. And all this thing is made from pieces of real talitot, apart from the background. And it's written there, Vayashuvu or Vayashuvu Bigdei HaKodesh Limkomam, and the holy garments come back to their place. The garments come, but where are the people? And on the letters you see dots, and the dots are also connecting together, and it makes the year 2006 or something like that, which is just a few years ago.
Services were revived in the High Synagogue after the war, and from 1950, the synagogue was used as an exhibition venue for the Jewish Museum. In 1995, the High Synagogue was again restored, and since then has served as a prayer hall for the rabbinate and a place for weddings and circumcision ceremonies.
Well, that brings us to the end of this week's show. Thank you so much for being with us, and please do tune in again, same time next week. And if you'd like to catch any of our previous episodes, you can find them on our website at www.spiritsister.co.za. As always, from me, Nikki, and the team, shalom and have a safe and peaceful week.